Hi, I'm Mel.
I'm James, and you'll see running him up from time to time Kobe, our rescue dog. So, this is a journal of our trip around Oz, and along the way we'll also have a few tips and tricks, both from what we learn through our own experiences as well as the pros and more seasoned veterans and travellers that we meet along the way. But right now, in our first episode, I thought we'd chat about, I guess, why we're doing this, why we're living in a caravan and touring the country.
Yes, why are we, James?
Yeah, so I guess through last year, we were told that our landlord was taking over the property that we were living in the Barossa, so we had to look at buying a property somewhere or trying to find some place to rent early this year. Now, neither option seemed either sensible, financially fun, or so we decided to look at doing something a little bit different. And it turns out around that same time was the Adelaide Caravan fishing and camping show at the Wayville Showgrounds. So we ended up spending
our life savings.
Yes, and 3 hours trawling through a variety of caravans until we ended up finding this little gem, Nigel, our Nova Terra Sports.
So we'll put a little clip at the end of how we came to the name Nigel. It's pretty much how we make most important decisions in our life.
Yes, there's a quite eerie consistency to the decision making that we have both before and probably during this trip, as you'll soon find out.
Alright, so we are about just over 2 weeks into our journey of living in a caravan, being nomads. It has been quite the interesting experience from getting the caravan to now, hasn't it?
Yes, but leading up to that, there's quite a bit of logistics to actually acquiring a caravan beyond just the typical exchange of cash for goods and services. I think we were quite fortunate to walk through a showground and then manage to get a build slot that worked around the same time as us finishing up our lease in March in the Barossa. So we packed up our house into our mate's shed, and then this plan was to go and actually pick up our caravan. But like a lot of people,
Shepparton.
Yes, but like a lot of people will undoubtedly point out and experience, nothing ever goes to plan, especially for us, but also in general in terms of picking up your new build. So we ended up driving from the Barossa through Bendigo up to the Gold Coast for 2 weeks while we waited for the slightly delayed arrival of our caravan, which was still pretty sharpish compared to what a lot of other people may experience. And then after 2 weeks up with Mel's parents, we drove on down through Albury and ended up at Shepparton at Solar City Caravans, and picked up the caravan there, which was quite an experience in and of itself. We'll talk more about the handover and things that you'll need to know when you're picking up your caravan for the first time, more so about how you set your car up, as we would discover late in a later episode. But in general, the whole experience went really smoothly.
They were just fantastic at Solar City. We can't recommend them enough.
They were super awesome, and especially pretty accommodating with Kobe, because he's quite the diva sometimes, and they certainly kept him entertained and appeased. And since then we drove out from Shepparton in a couple of days back to the Barossa,
where we packed up the
van in 2 days, charged it up, and off we went. And yeah, so that led us up to York Peninsula, I think. We stayed there for a good 5 days.
Yeah.
And then after camping up there and meeting a few people, we made our way across to Ayr Peninsula. And here we've been at Horrocks Lookout for coming up on a week now. So we really wanted to find out how far we could push living off grid and not having to go into town to get anything, water, or worry about electricity, which has obviously led to the rationing of showers, which is probably one of the more terrifying things.
Yes, definitely.
But all in all, it's been a really fun experience so far, and we hope to share a lot more with you as we go along, and show you a bit more of the caravan, which we might do a little quick tour of the inside before we sign off on this first episode.
Sounds good.
Alrighty. So, alright, here we go. So the most important area, which is of course the bedroom, because we spend literally half the day when you're inside the caravan here.
Well, Kobe does.
Well, Kobe does, yes. And if we lift up, what you'll see under here is what keeps us going. That, which we haven't yet had to use, which is a gas heater. And then we've got 450 amp hours of lithium battery. Very important that you go lithium. It costs a metric shed ton, but it is worth every cent. And then we've got the projector inverter, I believe, which converts all our power, so it allows us to run anything that you would normally run at home, but off 12-volt power. So we've got that. We've got plenty storage room in there across for clothing, or at least as plentiful as can be in a caravan. 12-volt TV, so we can watch TV on a little swivel. Skylight.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yes, it is the most natural light you will get, and you've got this as well if you want a little bit more shade during the day. But all in all, we haven't opened this up for air, but it is super nice all in all. We've got all of this cupboard space, and nice lighting to accompany it. We've got our little dinette cafe, and that's where Kobe sleeps at night. That is, in fact, Kobe.
Meet Kobe.
Kobe.
Kobe, look at the camera. Look.
We've got some creature comforts here. We've got the freezer, fridge, microwave. We've got the ensuite. We've got a little shower in here, which is actually quite comfortable in and of itself. Then we've got the toilet, which runs off cassettes, and we'll explain how that works at a later time. And then right in the back, just underneath here, we've got a little washing machine, which we can't use whilst we're off grid, but it does come in handy when we park up at port, at a caravan park or anywhere with power. And then we've got the kitchen setup, so a proper gas stove and oven, which underneath here is conveniently located, and you've got electric hob if you need it, if you run out of gas. Water, this is two options here. You've got your fresh water tank, which comes out here, and then you've got filtered water. The filters are just behind all of these, but you've got two tanks that supply, one for fresh water, and that's for everything, toilet flushing, shower, etc, etc. And then you've got this one here, which that's the drinking water. So they're two different tanks entirely, so 95 litres of each. And I think we wish we would have had two connected tanks, because we certainly don't get through 95 litres of drinking water, especially with the selection of spirits that we have on deck as much as we do the other freshwater tank. So that's a quick lesson learned there. But other than that, we'll leave you with our view that we've had for just over a few days, which is a nice little cliff edge looking into the sea off the Eyre Peninsula. Alrighty, that's it for episode 1.
Thanks for listening, guys, and stay tuned for more.
Almost forgot, we've got a few nice little features in here on the roof as well, other than the skylight. We've got this, which is the Dometic dust air reduction system, which basically moves whilst we're driving rather, so that it creates a positive air environment inside and pushes the dirt and bull dust out. Now, we haven't actually gotten to use it yet, because when it rains you got to close it, and so we've kept it closed most of the time whilst we're driving, because we like driving in the rain. Just another feature of our luck. We've got these, which are commonly known as the Scirocco, I think they are, like air 12 volt fans. They are incredibly expensive. I think they're like $250 or $300 a piece, but they work a treat, especially if you're just trying to get airflow in the middle of the night and your windows are closed. But that said, we keep our windows open most of the time.
Kobe approves.
Kobe approves, and we don't have to worry about that. Which leads me to the next part, the obvious feature of a caravan, which is air conditioning. Now, this thing uses power like nothing else, so unless you're plugged in or you've got a generator, highly recommend not using it. It churns through battery power, which, speaking of which, we can monitor right through here. So we can see we've got, that's our water tank for drinking water. That's for fresh water, so showers and shitter and so forth. That is the grey water tank, which basically is a result of the depletion of both of these tanks into any of the drains. Battery power level, we can see even though it's a grey and windy day, we've got a bit of solar, water pumps working, and we're still getting power coming through. Hot water, gas, these are the electric power sucks. Pumps, 12 volt pumps, which we need on. RV Wi-Fi, which we use when we can't be bothered to get the Starlink out. And then behind there, we've got the gas heater system. And then we've got our little, just hidden behind here, we've got the inverter set up there. So that is really what, if this will focus, just in there, that converts all of this so that we have basically 240 volt coming out of any of the power outlets. Finally, before that, we've got Bluetooth speakers. We've got a system similar to what you'd find in a boat or in a car. So that's quite handy to have, so we didn't need to bring any extra Bluetooth speakers. Then we've got this, which is some sort of fan system. What I can tell you is that it's got a remote control, which is cool. It's got a rain sensor, and this we've used more than anything else when it's hot outside, because you can either draw out the warm air outside, or you can draw cooler air in when it's too hot in here. But it's all a bit manual, so if we want to turn it on here and select out, because it's not too bad a temperature, then we just go up here, and this, pretty old school, but it works. And then if we switch this on, if it decides to rain at any point, this will just shut off, so we don't have rain coming onto the floor. But yeah, so that's about that.